This is the Instax Mini 99, and in this video, we are going to be talking about why I think this is the best Instax camera to buy in the Instax lineup in 2024. The Instax Mini 99 is an analog instant camera that can print a photo the same time you snap it. The only difference of this against other similar analog Instax cameras is its ability to control the image output by adding effects that are baked in the camera, as well as having a little bit of manual control over the images. As an owner of a lot of digital cameras, this camera has been a breath of fresh air for me. So with that being said, let's talk about a few reasons why you should buy the Instax Mini 99 and choose it over any other Instax camera out there, as well as a few features that sets this camera apart from the rest. So the first reason why you should buy an Instax Mini 99 is that this camera right here is 100% analog, which means there are no digital features, opposed to, let's say, you shoot with a digital camera like this Fujifilm X-T200. The moment I snap a photo, the photo goes straight into the SD card. And in hindsight, there are other analog cameras like this Asahi Pentax Spotmatic. This is a film camera, which makes it non-digital. Whatever you take with the shutter goes straight into the film, and then you go to develop it. So compared to the traditional 35mm film that this camera accepts, this camera also accepts film, but a different kind, which is the Instax Mini film. So what happens is the moment you press the shutter on the camera, it's going to eject the film from the top, and on that same moment, within just a few minutes, you can have a photo that you just took. So this is great for parties wherein if you take a photo of your friends, you can actually hand them the photo on the same day that you took them. Opposed to using digital, you have to take the photo, go home, or maybe send the photo through an app and give it to the person. But again, that is not going to be a physical copy, whereas this camera right here produces an actual, tangible, physical photo. So what sets the Instax Mini 99 apart from any other Instax Mini cameras out there is the manual capabilities of this camera, which there are a lot of them. So the first thing this camera offers is an EV compensation dial right here. So if you look closely, there is a dot which represents neutral color or neutral exposure. L means to lighten. So the moment you shift this dial to L, it's gonna slow down the shutter a little bit. So in contrast to that, if you go to D, which means darken, it's gonna increase the shutter even more. Because this is a fixed ISO film, it's about 800 ISO, so putting it on D will increase the shutter, which means it's gonna darken the image ever so slightly. So if you are in a very sunny environment, this is a good option to keep the subject plus the background both exposed at the same time. So right in the middle of this dial, there is a shutter button, which is good just in case you do want to take a landscape kind of shot. At the same time, there's another shutter in front. So this next feature that I will be talking about is what sets the Instax Mini 99 apart from any other Instax Mini cameras out there, which is this dial right here. So this one right here allows you to bake in some color into the image aside from the actual color. And what do I mean by that? This actually represents different filtering effects. So normally if you take digital photos, right? Maybe you have a Fujifilm camera, you can do film simulation effects. But for this one, since this is analog, you would think that there's a digital computer inside this thing, like a microchip doing the coloring for you. But actually it's a very smart design. So if you look closely, if I open the camera right here, there are different lights here. So what happens is the moment you flick this dial to a color that you want, let's pretend WT, which means warm tone. Warm is usually signified by orange or yellowy color, right? Like the sun. So this one will light up the image with some orange lights here. So the moment you take the photo, this one is going to light up split second the moment you press the shutter, and it's going to add a little bit of different color to the image. So this just opens up a lot of possibilities and creativity with your shot, because you could be out in a cloudy day and it would be like very boring, right? Because cloudy, overcast days are just moody in general. But if you want to add a little bit of a sunny kind of feel to that environment, all you need to do is just shift it to WT, which means warm tone. It's going to add that warm tone, like what it says. It's going to add like a orangey vibe to it, as if you are in golden hour. So I have some photos laid out over here that I took of my friend Sam. So we basically tackled all of the color effects on the Instax Mini 99. So all these photos right here are taken at the same spot using the same fluorescent lighting, just at home. No softboxes involved, just my friend Sam doing the exact same pose, so we can get a little bit of consistency within the image. So here is the neutral color with just flash with +1 exposure. As you can see, it is a nicely exposed image. So this is faded green on my right, so this is signified by the letters FG. So it's very obvious that it adds a green tint to it, right? So the next one is WT. which is warm tone. Now this color effect I really like because as you can see, it adds a little bit more vintage looking effects to the image. So this is a modern photo taken with a modern camera, but analog, right? So you can see that you get this vintage kind of vibe. At the same time, if you were shooting outdoors in a cloudy day and you want to add a little bit more flavor or a little bit more sun to that day, even though it's cloudy, this is a good color tone to go for. Next one is LB, which means light blue. Okay, so this is SM, which is soft magenta. Okay, this color I kind of dig because it still adds a vintagey kind of vibe, right? You can really see it looks like an old camera took this photo, right? So SM is soft magenta. It adds a bit more vintagey look to it. And the next color goes the same. SP means sepia. It just adds a lot of orange to it. So I guess this would add more orange to the image or sunny vibes compared to warm tone. So I'm guessing this is more towards just 5600 Kelvin, the WT, and SP would be around even more, like maybe even 6000, dare I say 6200 on the Kelvin scale. So again, you can choose whatever you want. It's up to your preference. And here is my favorite. So LL just means lightly. As you can see, it adds this cool little flare, like an orange flare on the top right, top left corner. And it just makes it look like the sun was here. Of course, this is indoors, right? But you can imagine what you can do with this color effect. You could be on a very gloomy day with just clouds, overcast, and you can use this filter and make it look like it was golden hour. Okay, one more cool thing that this camera has is another analog effect that you wouldn't get otherwise with any other camera. So to switch this camera on, you rotate this ring over here and pops the lens out, right? So there is another little switch over here that is very unique to this camera only. So if you look closely over here, there's a switch that toggles a vignette effect. Again, this is an analog camera. So this is simulated with like aperture blades closing in onto the lens over here. So if I flick this switch, it's gonna create a vignette effect. And that is so cool. That is so satisfying to switch because you know that it's done analogly. There are no digital effects. It's just, it is so satisfying. So having a vignette is nice because it's gonna add like a little black shadow around the frame. It's not really gonna be distracting, but at the same time, it's gonna be good for your photo because it will draw the viewer of the photo to the center of the frame and focus the attention more on the subject. And the last thing that I like about this camera that absolutely separates it from any other Instax camera out there is the ability to switch off the flash. I know it sounds funny to mention that, but this is not the case with any other Instax cameras. Most Instax cameras, the flash you cannot switch off. It will just fire when it wants to and will not fire when it doesn't. So this allows you to control exposure even more. With the dial, with the flash being able to switch on and off, you won't need to keep using the flash outdoors because if it's a bright sunny day, you want to use as much natural light as you can, right? So I've only found two cons that I don't like about this camera. The first being is the price. So being an Instax camera, this is actually more expensive than the popular Mini Evo. But then again, I have the Mini Evo right here. But I still prefer bringing the Instax Mini 99 out with me because the Instax Mini Evo is more of a digital camera, if you know what I mean. It still has a screen on it. And I just love being able to just zone out and disconnect from the digital world. I love this camera so much. So the second con that I should mention is not really a disadvantage, but it's just gonna be for the beginners. Because if you don't know what EV compensation means, you're not going to be able to take advantage of this dial, which can darken or lighten the image. So one tip is that if you are outdoors, remember to just leave it on neutral. If it's too bright, you can darken it by one stop by putting it on D. And if you are in a low light scenario, maybe indoors or maybe anything above 5:30 p.m., you can give it one hit of light. So the Instax Mini 99 has truly been a breath of fresh air for me because there's just something about just going analog once in a while. Of course, I still enjoy using my A7 IV, like my digital cameras like my A7S III, my ZV-1, but this camera right here just separates itself from any other camera I own. Whenever I just look at it sitting on the table, I just want to take it and just take a photo with it. It's just something that you wouldn't understand until you have this one in your hands. So if you want to buy one, I'm going to leave links in the description below and you can check it out. And yeah, this was just a video about the Instax Mini 99. I appreciate you watching this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.